We're just going to take time in this video to kind of go back and review the same stuff from the last video. So more solving equations and solving proportions. So to start with, I want to solve 8 plus 5c equals 7c minus 2. So right now I see that my c's are on two different sides. And I can move either one, it really doesn't matter. But I see that my 7c is bigger, so I'm going to move the 5c just so I don't have to worry about negatives. So I'm going to subtract the 5c from both sides because it was positive, so I need to use a negative. So then we get 8 equals 2c minus 2. Now I only subtract the 5c from the 7c because those are our like terms. And now I want to slowly get c by itself, so I'm going to move the 2 first. We're kind of farthest away to get closer. So I get 10 equals 2c, and then divide by 2, so then c equals 5. Alright, and it says check your solution, so that just means plug it back in and make sure it works. So I've got 8 plus 5, and then instead of c, I'm going to plug in 5, because that's what I got for c. And that should equal 7 times that same 5 minus 2. Well, 5 times 5 is 25, 7 times 5 is 35, and then 25 plus 8 is 33, 35 minus 2 is 33, so my answer is correct. Alright, here's another example, but I've got some parentheses. Remember, order of operations says we got to work with parentheses first. So I've got to multiply my 8 and distribute and the 10 on the other side. Then I can work with solving for c. So if I distribute the 8 on this side, 8 times 5c is 40c. 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. Distribute my 10. 10 times 32, just add my 0, is 320. And 10 times 4c is 40c. Alright, so I'm going to work on getting my c's on the same side. So if I subtract 40c from both sides, this one moves. 40 minus 40 is 0. So they both cancel on both sides. So I have negative 16 equals 320. So I have no more variables, nothing else to solve for. But if I look at this statement, negative 16 does not equal 320. That is a false statement. Anytime you have a false statement, that means no solution. And our symbol for no solution is that 0 with a line through it. So no solution here. Alright, here's another one with parentheses. So I've got to distribute. So 4 times t is 4t. 4 times 20 is 80. And over here, multiplying 1/5 is the same as dividing by 5. Alright, so 1/5 times x is the same as x divided by 5. So 20 divided by 5 is 4t. And then 400 divided by 5 is 80. So again, I want to get my t's on the same side. So if I subtract 4t from both, they both cancel again. And I'm left with 80 equals 80. This time, 80 does equal 80. That's a true statement. So that means it's all real numbers or infinitely many solutions. Every value of t that you plug in is going to make this a true statement. So it's all real numbers, and our symbol for all real numbers is that double stem R. Alright, proportions and percents. Remember, your proportions when you have a fraction that equals a fraction. Okay, the easiest way to solve a proportion is just to cross multiply. So to cross multiply, I'm going to the top of one side times the bottom of the other, and then the bottom of the first side times the top of the other. So n times 8 is just 8n, and then 12 times 3 is 36. So now I've got an equation that I can solve. So to get n by itself, I'm going to divide by that 8 to cancel it out. So I get 36 over 8. Well, 8 does not go into 36, so we're just going to simplify and leave it as an improper fraction. So 2 goes into both of these, as well as 4. 4 is the bigger number, so let's do 4. 36 divided by 4 is 9, and then 8 divided by 4 is 2. And that's as simple as I can get it, so we're just going to leave it. Alright, now I want to solve this proportion. And we want to cross multiply. The only difference is I have an expression up here, so I'm going to use parentheses. I'm going to do 8, and then in parentheses, x minus 6, right? I'm multiplying 8 times x minus 6, and that's got to equal 16 times 5, which we'll just go ahead and write out. Alright, so for the 8 times x minus 6, I'm going to distribute. 8 times x is 8x. 8 times negative 6 is negative 48. Alright, let's do 16 times 5. 10 times 5 is 50. 6 times 5 is 30. 50 plus 30 is 80. Alright, I gotta add the 48. So I get 8x equals 128. Divide by 8. So I get x equals 16. Alright, x equals 16, which would be answer choice D. Alright, and our last example, Trent goes on a 30-mile bike ride every Saturday. He rides the distance in 4 hours. At this rate, how far can he ride in 6 hours? So I'm just going to write my proportions. It's going to be proportional how long he goes in 4 hours, or how far, and it's in 6 hours, assuming that he goes the same pace. Alright, so he's got 30 miles in 4 hours, and at that pace, we want to know however many miles, so we'll call that x, he can get in 6 hours. So there's my proportion. They're going to be proportional. Miles on top, hours on bottom. And then we cross multiply. So 4 times x gives us 4x. 30 times 6 gives us 180. Divide by 4. And we get x equals 45. Right? 100 divided by 4 is 25. 80 divided by 4 is 20. 20 plus 25 gives us 45. Alright, so that's just a review, some additional practice with solving equations and solving proportions.